Yo, what's up, aliens? Ahi here with another tutorial. So today we're going to be remaking Agen Wida by Skrillex and Joyryde, particularly the trap bongo part. Now this is one of my favorite parts of one of my favorite songs that's come out this year. So I'll show y'all the original and then I'll show y'all my remake. Here we go. 'Cause I hit 'em with a hit him with a Woo. Love that. So complex and interesting. So here's my remake. Here we go. 'Cause I hit him with a hit him with a boom. Yeah, I feel like I did a pretty decent job with that. You know, there's still a little bit of like stylistic difference in the bongo parts, and there's a little EQs differences and whatnot, but I feel like it's pretty close to the original. So here we will go over how we did this. First of all, I listened to the track a lot and tried to break it apart in my mind by listening to like the high end and the low end. So I'd take the track and take out the sub bass and just listen to the high end. And then other times I would just low pass it and just listen to that low end. Like that. But first off, I'll show y'all, I started with the kick and snare. So I've got this. Boom. And so I just listened here for the kick and snare. There's one there, snare. And then just did that throughout the whole pattern. Now to find the sort of sound, because there's a lot of snares in the world, and to find the one that sounded like this one, I had to go through a number of different choices, but I just, it's sort of snappy. It reminds me of like that classic trap 808 style snare, and I'd made plenty of these, and I ended up going with this one. Sounds very similar. And also with the kick, I pulled a cymatics sample that's from their Remaking Skrillex kicks, so I felt like that one was pretty accurate as well. Also in the sub bass also has some punch to it as well. So now after the kick and snare patterns, I went and focused on the Foley and the effects in here, and there's quite a bit of effects. First thing you notice is that metallic downbeat sound, which is that. Something to notice here is that it's not directly on the downbeat. There's like a little transient and then that sound, and so I've pulled it off from the downbeat here. And I went through a lot of different sounds to get this one. This one is probably it's different than Skrillex's. I tried putting water in a metal bowl and hitting it to get that pitch bend. I tried a couple other various metal ones, but this metal one from Cymatics, I had to do some stretching to get it. But I feel like it's got a similar bend to it. It's different, but it's similar enough, I felt like, for this tutorial. Also on the downbeat was this classic orchestra crash sound. That's a old classic sample, and you can hear it that he uses that as well in there, layered in. And also there's all these like interesting like reverse finger cymbals here. Check it out. And then it happens again right here. It's very short, almost quiet if you're not paying attention. I added those in. Next, there's this white noise here along with the snare of the very first snare. You can hear that right there. So added in this guy right here. Also, there's some like glass breaking in the original. And so I've got that right there. And also at the very end of this sequence, you can hear a little reverse crash of that glass right there. Also in here, there's this sound in the original, which is like this little shout. And then it's being reversed. So that sounded like a cuica. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's a Brazilian instrument. It sounds like this. And I've pitched it up, put some reverb on it, and put an OTT on it. And yeah, I just rendered it down to audio, then flipped it and reversed it. And so felt like that went along with it. Also, there's a little gun cock right here. And so I added in one as well. Also, there's this one random 808 clap in here. And so I had to add that in. And then also in this little section right here, there's like a and so I put in a breath there and sort of pitched it around until I felt like it was the right pitch and the right shape. And then also here at the very end, there's the gunshot sounds, which in the original sound like this. And it's being filtered out there at the end a little bit as well, so mine are. And I've got a little filter there at the end to filter out that sound. And then also here is the police sirens. Mine are a little bit different, but I feel like I've got a similar timing, and also the auto pan here, I feel like similar. Cool. So that is all the effects that I found in there. And also I've just got those low cut. Next, I focused on the sub bass, which is a Serum preset from my Futuristic Trap Drums Volume 2, I believe, possibly 1, but yeah, that sound, which it's actually got a lot of post-processing. If I was to turn off all this post-processing, let me group it all. So if I was to turn off all this post-processing, the sound would sound like. So it is essentially a triangle wave being compressed a lot. And it's got this like impact sound in it. Yeah, it's got the OTT on there. That's what gives it that sound. And then the processing, I've got my high-low splitter, which basically allows the low end to pass through unaffected, and then the high end, I've got a saturator with the soft clip on and the drive all the way up, and then I have it EQ'd after it, so that way it cuts out all the sub and it just leaves the upper harmonics. Now you can get the high-low splitter in AHEE's Magic Racks, which I'll provide a link at the bottom. Now, if I was to turn off this stuff here and listen to the sub, so that's it. After adding the saturator, makes it messier, but you'll see how we'll clean it up here. So we'll add erosion, adds in that top bite. Now also add an OTT on here with the time all the way to the right. So that's just to gather as many harmonics as possible. Now this is really where I feel like the sound came in, was just cutting out a lot of these mids. It just leaves a lot of space for those drums to take up that part of the frequency range. And if we listen to the original track and then to my sub, oh yeah, I gotta add that back in. So if we listen to this track, now listen to this. It's very similar. I was really happy about that. All right, so also then there's a sidechain from the kick on the group here. So another thing to note is the vocals. These actually came from a song called by Grand Puba called "I Like It," and there's just a little part in there where these vocals show up. And here at the beginning, they're actually, I think, yeah, in the original, it's a little bit lower pitched, and so for their track, they pitched it up 6 semitones, and yeah, it gives it that sound. And also, I've got AHEE's rap vocalizer on here, which you can get in the Magic Racks as well. And it's just got this like nice drive. I've turned off the reverb and I've boosted the highs and just got some good compression on there. And then also I've got an OTT afterward as well. Well, and then also I've brought up the low end, but then also cut the sub out just to get those low mids up a bit. And then also here at the beginning, it's interesting. So it starts off on 6, the next pitch goes down to 2 and then to -1. So it's because I hit him with a track. Sorry about that. And I had to take the track from the original track because I don't know where that came from. And then a little guncock sound right there. And these are being chopped up. And then also they've got the EQ filter opening up as well. Yeah, this one is got a different pitch on it as well. And yeah. Yeah. So that's that on the vocals. And now finally on to the thing that is the meat of this song, or this part of the song, which is the crazy Congo Bongo part. So this, I went through a lot of different ways of recreating it. I tried using some djembe samples, I tried conga, I tried bongo, and my favorite that I came up with was sort of this Congo Bongo combination. And so some of the conga sounds I'd recorded for sample pack, and some of the bongo sounds I think I got from Ableton's just like built-in bongo sounds. And to get the MIDI, so these are drum racks that are just playing the MIDI. There's no effects on the drum racks. All the effects are here in the group, which I will show in a second. But to just get the timing of the sounds, I looked at the transients in the original track and then just went into the MIDI and held down Command to just shift these sounds microspatially until they just lined up exactly with all the drums here. And so they're all over the place. They are not on the downbeats. They're all over. And so I just went through it tediously and recreated all that. And then also I had to go through, so I did that first with just like 1 or 2 sounds. I wasn't really even paying attention to what the sounds were. I was just focusing on the ons and offs of the MIDI notes. And then next after that, I went through and like figured out what samples. So like in this section here, there's like I'd loop a section. So this sound right here, it's like a thud, and then these two sort of have more of they have a ring to it. And so in my actual samples, I'd go in and I found certain ones like, like that's the thud, and then that one's got more of a ring to it, and so finding out which bongo samples have a ring and which ones have more of a thud, and just going through and choosing them, and also trying to be organic about it, so having a lot of different options to choose from and not trying to repeat any ones that too close together. Also, I think a big part of it was the processing. So mostly it is transient shapers and OTT and EQ. So this first transient shaper, I'm mostly using presets in Isotope's Neutron transient shaper, multiband transient shaper. I'm basically boosting the transients, taking down some of the sustain. These EQs aren't really doing anything. I was more for monitoring. I have another transient shaper. It's boosting more attacks, taking more away from the sustain. And then I have some OTT, which sort of doing the opposite, where that's just like squishing everything. And then I have this style OTT. Now you can see these two are two different style OTTs, meaning that this time function is more to the left, which makes it more squishier, and this time function is more to the right, which boosts the allows the transients to come through more. And now this is a really interesting thing. I just boosted the crap out of the EQ here. It is, if you look, 14 plus dB across the entire thing, and if I take this off, it's like the distortion that it adds in is unique to the sound. I've never really done that with anything else, but it worked for this particular thing. And then I'm cutting out some of the low end, boosting some of the top end here, and then just more cutting away at the sustain, and then just having a limiter in there. So if I take off all the effects of the bongos, this is what it sounds like. It's pretty weak. Yeah, got that back in. Pretty drastic difference. All right. If y'all enjoyed this, please hit that like button and subscribe and hit that little bell notification. I'm going to be doing tutorial about every week, something new. And if you have any suggestions on what you'd like me to do, feel free to comment below. All right, aliens, this has been great. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Peace.